This is SHRM Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India Inc.
Hi everyone, this is SHRM Radio and I'm Archana Charath. It's Wednesday morning and SHRM is back on air with another great conversation on all things work. Today our guest is Raj Raghavan, Senior Vice President and Head of HR at Indigo. Raj has over 30 years of experience in managing large workforces and today he's going to be sharing some of his wisdom with us. And we are going to be talking about leading teams to success during uncertainty. Raj, thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Archana. It's my pleasure to be on the SHRM Radio and hopefully I'll make your questions, the answers to your questions interesting.
Raj, really looking forward to this conversation and, hearing some of your experiences. And I'm sure during this vast experience and rich experience that you've had, there must have been some interesting incident, conversation that you've had with people. Anything you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, this was many years ago, Archana. I used to be the head of launch training for Ford New Markets. And we were launching the Ford manufacturing facility in India. And as a result, I took lots of trainees across the world for training. Mm-hmm. And one of the places I took them to was Melbourne, Australia. And it was a 3-month training for our manufacturing engineers. At the end of it, there was a graduating ceremony of sorts. And we had a dinner, a celebratory dinner. And so we invited those trainers who actually trained our people. So we gave them dinner and basically thanked, and we gave away certificates to our trainees. And I started off the meeting by, basically thanking, we couldn't have done this without you, and all those customary things. And suddenly one of these Australian trainers just stood up and he said, "You know what, Raj, even as you're thanking us for doing what we did for you, I really want to thank you for something." And I said, "Oh, really? What is that about?" He said, I've born and brought up, I've been raised in Melbourne, Australia. I've been an Australian all my life. One thing you Indians came and taught me was to bargain in Melbourne's biggest grocery market. You could never bargain. We just go there, they tell you a price, we pay and come. You guys came, you bargained, and guess what? You actually got a price that you wanted. So that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I guess as Indians, we're very famous for our bargaining skills everywhere. So that's a very, very interesting incident. Raj, thanks for sharing that. Right now, we're going through a lot of uncertainty. And in times of uncertainty that we're experiencing, what are some of the things that leaders can do to step up and keep their teams motivated to succeed?
I think earning the trust of people is very important, Archana. I think the biggest leadership quality that I would have that I would like for people to have is trust. And trust is not something you can earn overnight. It comes over a period of time, doing a lot of small things, very, very well. For example, many years ago, Saurav Govil, a friend of mine and a good friend of mine and the head of HR at Wipro told me, he said, "Raj, if I'm going to call you on the phone, I can very easily tell you whether you're focusing on my conversation or you're reading an email." And I said, "Oh, really? How is that?" He said, "Well, each time I call you and you keep saying, a kind of thing, I can almost say that, you are doing something else and not focusing on the conversation you and I are having." I think some small examples like this, gain or lose trust. And as a leader, if I don't have the trust of my team, I will not be able to motivate or keep them engaged, leave alone help them succeed. I think that's one big ingredient to success is gaining trust of people. And trust doesn't come just by doing one thing right. You need to probably do 25 things right.
Very true. Trust is earned. You can't command it. So Raj, leaders face so many tough decisions, and even in tough times, you have to take a lot of tough calls on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes, you don't have enough information or enough data with you to have to do that. What has worked for you in such scenarios?
Archana, rightly or wrongly, I have never relied just on data or information to make decisions. And it has worked for me. I think most of the times, good decisions are made when you have a combination between data and anecdotes. And what do I mean by anecdotes? Anecdotes are nothing but, coffee table conversations you have, lunch conversations you have, where someone comes and tells you, you know what, this doesn't look right, Raj. But you go back to your team meetings and somebody gives you data to tell everything looks hunky-dory. Then I ask, how come this particular thing didn't come into it? And somebody would come and tell me, you know what, even in Six Sigma, you're entitled to make a certain number of wrong decisions for a million opportunities. And I tell myself, no, I don't want to do it. I want to use anecdotes. I want to be able to connect to people. I want to be able to appeal to the conscience of people, the softer side of a human being. Because end of the day, that's what ticks you, right? Today, if you were to think through your career and ask yourself, what's the best moment you had? I don't think anyone is ever going to come and tell me that the best moment was the biggest paycheck they ever received. They're probably going to talk about something like, my boss came and, said this to me in front of 100 people, or when I won the third prize in a debate competition. And that's what I mean by having a high bias for anecdotes, even as you have a bias for data and information, Archana. You need to have both of those in plenty. I would actually go on the side of anecdotes when I don't have data.
That's a very interesting perspective, Raj. Thanks for sharing that. We're going to go for a small break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about, dreaded tough conversations. So stay tuned. I'm in conversation with Raj Raghavan, Senior Vice President and Head of HR at Indigo. This is SHRM Radio, and we'll be right back.
You are listening to SHRM Radio in partnership with Timber Media, podcasters for India, Inc.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to SHRM Radio. I'm Archana Jarath, and I'm talking with Raj Raghavan on leading teams to success during uncertainty. Raj, people managers and HR often dread, the big, tough conversation with employees. What are some ways to make that conversation more effective and productive with positive outcome?
Tough conversations are always difficult to have. And when you're a people manager, when do you have a tough conversation? You have a tough conversation when you're giving a feedback on someone's performance, or when you're giving a feedback on someone's behavior, or when you're telling someone that, you don't have this job anymore, your job has become redundant. I think in all of this, the first and the most important ingredient is honesty. Can I say the truth in a very honest manner without having to use a lot of adjectives? Do I come across as a humble person that is interested in the other person rather than myself? Do I come across as someone who is not in a hurry to push through my agenda rather than wait for the person to kind of warm up to the conversation I'm going to have? Oftentimes, people managers find it difficult to do these things because they go unprepared. If you ask me, I would actually do a lot of preparation. In fact, the good conversations I've had, the tough conversations have been most easy because I spent enormous amount of time preparing myself, asking questions. If I were that person, what would it mean for me to be receiving this information from you, Raj? And if I'm not honest, if I'm not going to be credible, if I'm not going to be empathetic, if I'm not going to listen, I will never be able to have these conversations.
So Raj, honesty, preparation, these are two things that can help people managers and HR professionals, navigate a tough conversation towards a positive direction and a positive outcome. What are your personal mantras that you'd like to share with from your own rich experience for the benefit of our listeners?
I think the ability to understand what is the purpose from an employee standpoint is very important, Archana. What is important for me may not be important for you, and vice versa. So I think what I should be able to find in order to tick the person is finding out the purpose. And by that, I mean, if I can identify the why, then the how is easy. That's my personal mantra. I will always try to see if I can identify the purpose. And if you want to know more about what purpose means, I think you should just pick up this book called Man's Search for Meaning, written by Viktor Frankl. And it has got some phenomenal insights into how a man struggles through, captivity of being a prisoner, yet just wants to live on a one cigarette, which can be traded for a bread that can be traded for a soup, just so that they can go see their house. They can go ring the door of the bell so their wife comes and opens. That is purpose for which you live. And to me, if I can identify that purpose, I probably done my job as a people manager.
So it's important to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand their motivations and purpose. And I'm definitely going to be picking up Man's Search for Meaning. I haven't read it yet. So that's going to be my weekend reading next week. Thank you so much, Raj, for sharing so many personal experiences and such great insights on managing people and making, the conversations and working with our people so much more effective and easier.
Such a pleasure talking to you, Archana. You had some great questions. It's always great to be connected with SHRM, and I'm so pleased to be on SHRM Radio.
Entirely our pleasure, Raj. Thank you so much. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to SHRM Radio, which is done in partnership with Timber Media Podcasters. We were catching up with Raj Raghavan, VP and Head HR at Indigo. Stay tuned as we come back next Wednesday at 10 a.m. with another great conversation on all things work.
This is SHRM Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India Inc.